Is everybody ready up here? We good up here, ladies? We good? You ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you would please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to welcome everyone for being here with us this evening. Could I get an adoption of the agenda, please?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, 2.01, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Madam President, Board of Education, and everyone else in the audience. I got several good news to share with you. First off, congratulations to Summit Tech Academy educator Rachel Mitchell. She earned a 2025 Missouri Educator of Family and Consumer Science and Human Services Teacher of the Year Distinguished Service Award. So she's the FACS Teacher of the Year for the state of Missouri. So congratulations to her. She's out of Paradise Park. Two of Mrs. Mitchell's students also had some big awards recently. Both Hannah Rayburn and Jada Ring won first in the nation, national champs, in Hospitality, Tourism, and Recreation Star event at the National Leadership Conference. They had to go up against top students from across the nation and present a hotel concept designed for the Kansas City area. Another teacher who won a big award, Ashley Turner. Educator Ashley Turner won the Aaron Young Student Voice Empowerment Award at Educators Rising. This is a nomination by a former student who wanted to acknowledge her for allowing them to take risks and make mistakes without fear. Congratulations, Ms. Turner. Yet another teacher, and our former District Teacher of the Year, is Stephanie Renty. She was just selected as the best educator in the Kansas City People's Choice Award. So congratulations to East Trails, Stephanie Renty. 7 students from Lee Summit North and Lee Summit High School spent 2 weeks this summer participating in the Minden Exchange 2025 trip, traveling through Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. And a huge thanks to the chaperones, host families, and tour guides who made the trip possible. I have several updates for you. First off, thank you to the registrars and designees and those staffing our Welcome Center who have helped our families enroll for the 25-26 school year. Enrollment classes are closes tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., and these staff members have helped ensure our families have a seamless start to the school year. If you need help, please reach out. If something was a mistake, please reach out and we'll do our best to fix those. Thank you to the summer school staff who provided for our students with incredible enrichment opportunities, from our incoming kindergartners to our high schoolers. A reminder for families who potentially could qualify for free and reduced lunch to fill out an application, even if you already qualified in years past. Those qualifications are determined not by us, but by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and are listed on the district website. Last high school athletes, practice starts August 11th and school begins August 20th. We can't wait to welcome everyone back for the 25-26 school year. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on down to item 4.01, public comment.
We appreciate your attendance and your willingness to speak to the board. Please remember that the board does not respond to public comments during the meeting, but may ask clarifying questions. Your comments will be noted by the board and administration, and if appropriate, we will discuss further action with the superintendent. Only those who have signed up prior to the meeting will be allowed to address the board. Pursuant to board policy BDDH, we will be limiting all comments to no more than 7 people with a limit of 3 minutes each. You may not transfer any of your time to other speakers. Your allotted 3 minutes will be counted down on the screen. Please conclude your comments when the timer expires. Your comments must align with the subject described in your written request to speak and must directly relate to the business or operations of the district. Your comments may not discuss individual employees or students in the district, regardless of whether your comments speak of them in a positive or negative light. Any such comments should be directed to the superintendent, who will then determine if further action is needed. Because the board does not and cannot impose age-based restrictions on who attends or views board meetings, and because children of all ages frequently do attend board meetings, comments may not include obscenities or sexually explicit content. Furthermore, comments may not include threats of physical or emotional harm or threaten in any way the safety of others. We also remind all those in the audience that Board Policy BDDH prohibits the use of signs or audible responses. This includes applause, cheers, or jeers. If you are in the audience and wish to respond in some way to a public comment, you may contact the board or superintendent after the meeting. Your comments must be directed only to the board because the purpose of public comment is to bring something to the attention of the board. You may not speak to or interact in any way with another person in the audience. When your name is called, go to the podium and clearly state your name and the organization you represent, if any. Aisha O'Malley.
Just before you start, Aisha, do we have a timer to pop up there? Is it not working? Okay, well, I'll keep time. I'll try to give you a 30-second warning. Is that okay? All right. Give me 1 second. I got to get it up. You got to hit them. Is the volume on?
Am I, okay, yeah, there you go. Hi, I'm Aisha O'Malley. Dr. Beck, let me know when.
Almost.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening. I come before you tonight to speak on a simple but essential expectation, that our school board leads with integrity, transparency, and accountability, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. In June, every member of this board attended a retreat. At that retreat, you all agreed to support the Dignity Team. You agreed that there was nothing about its content that was controversial. You reaffirmed the board's priorities to maintain a safe environment where all students and staff felt engaged, included, and that they belong. You approved the district's comprehensive school improvement plan, including the clear goal to foster a responsive, inclusive, and caring student environment. And yet, at the most recent public meeting, 2 board members, Mr. Haley and Ms. Garrett, chose to contradict those commitments. Instead of standing by what they had already endorsed, they raised performative concerns and used politicized terms like DEI to stir division and delay action. Let's be clear, this isn't about DEI. This is about dignity. And if we're being honest, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not a dirty word. It's a framework that benefits everyone: women, veterans, individuals over 45, people with disabilities, children of every single race and background, and frankly, all members of this board. Ms. Garrett, as a tenured board member, she should know how items get added to the agenda. Asking that question publicly was not about clarity. It was about creating confusion. Mr. Haley, referencing state and federal opposition while those same entities are currently withholding funding from public education, is that the direction you truly support? What you both did wasn't leadership. It was a performance. And we're not here for a performance. We're here for our kids. We're talking about children who deserve to walk into classrooms where they feel seen, heard, respected, and safe. This is not political talk. This is not a political talking point. This is a moral obligation. You were not elected to posture. You were elected to lead. And leadership means honoring your word even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. This is not about left or right. This is about right and wrong, about showing up for children with consistency, not contradiction, about ensuring that what's said behind closed doors matches what's said and done in public. Our kids don't have time for political games. They're watching. We all are, and we deserve better. Thank you.
Mike McGrew.
Hi there, Mike McGrew. Are you ready to? Okay.
It's
no
okay. Mike, I'll just hope a 3-0, and
Yeah,
I'll try to
I
say
won't
10
do that
seconds if
at
you
all.
didn't see it.
Okay. Hi, my name is Mike McGrew. I am a parent at Lee Summit Elementary. I just wanted to express my support for the consent agenda item for the dedication of easement for LSE. I know consent agenda items aren't really, big controversial items, but it's such a big asset for us in the community that you will have this on your agenda, this dedication for sidewalk. It's huge for, I think that we have the highest walkable student population in the LSR7 school district. And I know from personal use, my kids and I, when I practice bicycling with them and teaching them how to ride their bike, go down to LSE and the big lot there, and so having that kind of access and having the ease of access for everybody in the neighborhood is such a huge asset. And so I just wanted to come down here and just say, I express my support for this issue, and that's all today. Thanks.
Kristen Grubbs.
My name is Kristen Grubbs, and for over 3 years, I've been attending board meetings and addressing many topics before you. Seeing a need for accountability, I am here regarding the recommended renewal of Wilson language training. I've been told by multiple sources that Wilson is an extremely difficult program for students to get into. It is strictly one-on-one, and for a student to be approved, they must be recommended by a reading specialist, but a committee actually makes the final decision. I've heard from many parents in the district who've been told that their students aren't failing enough to receive specialized services. To a district that proudly claims to be preparing each student for success in life, I counter that with my observation that our district is merely preparing some students. When I hear about an elementary student who doesn't want to go to school because they struggle with reading, I wonder, what is our district doing to instill a love for learning and the joy of reading into these children? When I hear about a child whose grades are suffering and they're acting out behaviorally because they can't read to understand the material, I wonder, why aren't they getting the help they need? Wilson Training and Curriculum entered our district in late 2021. That year's MAP scores for ELA recorded 16.6% of our third graders below basic. 3 years later, that number sat at 22.3%. This captures those students who were in kindergarten the year Wilson entered the district. So they would have had the most time in screening for access to Wilson. Why then has our below basic rate increased? This renewal contract quotes the cost of $20,330 for 8 teachers to be trained. I did the work and added up all our expenses since July 2021. And so far, LSR7 has spent $153,939.86 on Wilson materials and training. I've been informed that only 105 students have been able to utilize this program over the last 4 years. If statistics ring true in Lee Summit, 1 in every 10 students are dyslexic. That means our district of over 17,000 students should have at least 1,700 students with dyslexia. How come our specialized reading program for these very students has only reached 105 students in 4 years? My goal in speaking before you tonight is to remind you about the thousands of other students who may very well need special reading services in our district who are being underserved, worse yet, unserved. I implore you to do your due diligence and find the most fiscally responsible and educationally sound ways of meeting the needs of all of our students struggling to read so they can be better prepared for success in life.
All right, 5.01 Board Committee Reports. We'll start with Mr. Haley.
I attended the Finance Committee earlier this week, which was conducted by Dr. Herzog, and he was very informative. And everything is right on track, according to Dr. Herzog. So,
Thank you. Dr. Nickens?
Just today, I attended the orientation for Team Lee Summit. I'm excited to be on the committee and excited to meet the other committee members when we have our first meeting in, I believe, September.
Dr. Johnson?
So again, I don't have a board report, but I want to give a disclaimer. My committees run September to March, so it's not that. I'm not doing my part. I just haven't had any committees yet. Thank you.
Board Member Dawson?
Yeah, I also attended the Finance Committee meeting with Board Member Haley, and thank you all for all that you reported to us. We appreciate it. We did not have a policy committee meeting this month, but we did review some policies asynchronously. So thank you, Dr. Carlson, for that. And that's it for my committees.
Vice President Miller?
I also attended the Finance Committee meeting, so I won't say much more, but ditto of what Haley and Dawson said for the Finance Committee. The other committee that I attended was the LSEDC, and so lots of exciting things happening. One of the big ones that I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about is, if you haven't already, the Green Street opening is something that we've been talking about with other members on the council there. And that is August 15th, so mark your calendars. And then they have been really invested in trying to start collaborating again with LSR7 on some of those workforce development pieces for our students and connecting them to job opportunities. So more to come on that.
Awesome. I attended the Government Relations Committee, and much like Dr. Johnson, most of my stuff runs September through May. So anyway, that's all I have for this month. Okay, items for decision. Item 6.01, to approve the transfer of funds. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the transfer of $16,789,455.48 from the general fund to the special revenue fund.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 6.02, approve the treasurer's report and payment of the bills.
I move to approve the treasurer's report and the payment of the bills.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 All right, items for decision, the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, items for decision, 8.01, 2025-26 meal price increase.
I move that the board approve a 10-cent increase for 25-26 meals.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, so I asked that this be moved to items for decision because after reading the report that was shared with us by the administration and listening to the description at the Finance Committee meeting, I felt that this was worth highlighting to our community, that our nutrition services team and our administration is looking very carefully at and thinking very conscientiously about the needs of the district and the funds that we need to break even in nutrition services, but then also to think about those families that don't qualify for free and reduced lunches and not increasing the lunch price so much that it hurts their budget. And the fact that you are allowed to raise the price by 75 cents per meal, but instead chose to take a more conservative approach and raise the meal prices by 10 cents and then form a group to look at how to make up that gap, just shows the community how conscientious you are and how careful you are and how much you care about our families and our budget. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Our tradition, history here recently has been to raise it a dime, and that seems to be best practice, to raise it a dime each year. The paid meal equity tool indicates that we should raise it 75 cents. What we plan to do to, I'll say, close the gap is to form a process action team this fall, bring stakeholders together, which would include staff, parents, board members, other interested parties, and come up with maybe a 2 or 3 year plan to close that gap and to help, I'll say, ease that burden on our families.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the motion for the 10-cent increase, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Items for decision 8.02, the Wilson language training.
I move that the board approve the purchase of training at the cost of $20,330, as well as renewal of the service agreement through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question for Dr. Barger. Thank you very much, by the way, for all the questions that you did answer regarding Wilson, and I have no criticisms of Wilson particularly. I did want to address the comments that one of the citizens made during their comments. They commented that we had spent about $150,000 on Wilson over the last 4 years, and I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't substantiate that. But according to your numbers, we had only served about a little over 100 kids. Is there any way we can get this out to more kids? It seems like if we're going to spend that kind of money on it, maybe we can get more bang for our buck by getting it out in front of more kids?
So I'd have to go back and look at financial numbers, but I'll tell you that Wilson is a really intensive training. And so I like to kind of equate it to in a medical situation. I think about, sometimes they'll start somebody and say, hey, we're going to start you on eating a little bit more fruits and vegetables. Then we're going to give you some cholesterol meds, right? And then we're going to do this small procedure. And then, oh gosh, after all of these interventions haven't worked, we're now at the point of having to consider this pretty intensive procedure for you. If you think of that logic through that, Wilson is the most intensive procedure. It's one-on-one or small group. It's very intense. It's very focused. And so really before we get to that level of support, in which students may be being pulled out at a more frequent basis, we try to work through that process. So it's not necessarily the most appropriate intervention for more.
Do we have another program for struggling readers that's less intensive that we might be able to cast a wider net with?
Absolutely, and I think in some of the questions that were provided today, really that's through that SIPS and those interventions that are being provided through that SIPS work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Haley? Any other discussion up here? Oh, Dr. Nickens, sorry. I got this control panel I forgot about.
I just wanted to make a few comments because I am not a literacy expert, so I did take time to consult with some literacy experts, not only within the district, but also colleagues that I work with, and to ask some questions myself. I think it's relevant to question cost, right? Especially if you feel that not a lot of students are served. However, in the case of Wilson being an intensive intervention, it really was developed to work with kids who have dyslexia, not just struggling readers who may have a wide range of different difficulties. And as with anything, when we're serving special needs, the interventions often need to be very personalized and individualized so that that child's needs are being met. With Wilson, it is intended as a one-on-one intervention. It is often used in small groups, with the caveat being that all the kids in the group kind of have to have the same need. You can't just plop 5 kids in a group and think that Wilson is going to be the effective thing when they're not all at the same place and they don't all have the same needs. So I guess for me, after my discussions and doing some reading and looking at the information that's available and how Wilson has been used in the district, I would say one thing that I noted in our board docs was that we are looking at developing our own resident expert in the district, which will defray future training costs, a train-the-trainer model. Keep in mind that Wilson, the time commitment for training for instructors, for teachers that use Wilson is really, it's a big commitment. It can take a couple, 2 to 3 years to complete certification at both level 1 and level 2. And so it's a big commitment. Having our resident expert here who has gone through that training and is able to support and coach other teachers will be a good investment. Another thing that came up again and again in my reading is the effectiveness of Wilson programs depends heavily on an instructor's skill level, meaning you can't sort of halfway train a teacher and think that magically, this is not a scripted program. This is a program where a teacher makes diagnostic decisions, and the next thing they do with the child is based on those decisions individually. Wilson is the only intervention that allows some continuity of support from elementary into middle school. We currently have a specialist that works with middle school kids. I actually can't think of anything else that we're able to take straight from elementary into middle school and have that continuity of intervention for kids that don't have, an IEP or something like that. Dr. Barker, at the Parents of Struggling Readers meeting that I was able to attend, I think in March or April, was talking with parents about our goal to make sure that we continue to set goals for literacy in middle school and high school. And a big part of being able to serve students who are still struggling in middle school and high school is to have an intervention that actually was created for that age group. And Wilson allows that continuity into the older age groups of kids, because we still do have kids that struggle and need that kind of intensive support at those levels. So basically, this is not a tier 1 intervention. It's not a tier 2 intervention. It really lands more at tier 3, which is why there aren't hundreds of kids receiving it. We literally don't have enough teachers trained in it to provide it, unless they really have exhausted tier 1 and tier 2 interventions. So those are my support points for the program. I think with all the goals that we have tied to literacy in our district, that it would really be indefensible to not continue a program that does have good research support behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the motion on the floor to approve the Wilson language training, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Items of information, 10.01 and 10.02. And I think that concludes our business down here this evening. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.